Welcome back, race fans. It's Apex Predator here, bringing you another GT Sport Mode race. So for today's video, we're going to be looking at the daily race C, which was 8 laps of Mount Panorama, Bathurst. We're in the Vantage, starting in 8th. Qualifying lap was a 2:12.5. There's not too much difference between sort of 2 or 3 cars either side of me, so from about 4th or 5th to sort of 10th, we're all pretty much doing similar lap times. This is my first race on the updated 1.14 update, so slightly revised penalties. Let's have a look if I notice any difference. So I didn't spend too much time qualifying for this race as well, just clicked the little green button, and whatever time I got was the time I ended up having in qualifying. It wasn't too bad actually, 2:12.5. It's probably another, at least a second, maybe 2. Probably realistically for me, maybe another half a second, but I was quite happy with that lap time. I'm able to race around that pace as well, so it's quite good. And you'll see in the corner I've popped in another view, because for this race I'm not going to do too much editing of the race itself, because quite a lot happens, and I just thought it would be quite a nice race. I'm not going to talk too much through this race, or maybe talk a bit less than I have been doing, and just let you watch the race. So it's quite good. So there we go. Let's see how it goes. A bit wide there through Skyline. Probably could have been lifting off the throttle a bit sooner, which means that the BMW behind has got very close. May have given us a little bump through the S's, I'm not too sure. Looked like we carried a little bit of extra speed through. Cautious into the elbow. So at the moment, I think I had a friend around at the time, so I think I was a bit distracted by this first lap, but I managed to shut him up for the rest of the race. So now we need to try and close that gap up to 7th. Try and focus. It looks great in the replay camera though. I love how good this game looks. I love the replays. It just looks so realistic. So you can see bunching up a little bit behind me. Someone's gone off the track in front. I've got a friend request, it's all going off. We've got someone down our left, we're down the right of this guy. He's got cars either side of him. Got squeezed off the track a little bit there by this guy. I don't know if he's serving a penalty or he's just too cautious on the brakes, but both of me and this other, both Vantages basically, that BMW had a Vantage sandwich inside and outside. We're going to hang it around the outside. No, we're not, we're going to tuck in. I think that's the best move at Porsche. You don't want to risk getting punted off by someone else. A slight tap there if you're on the outside and you'd end up in the gravels. We've got this Megane rocketing up the outside, what will become the inside, at Griffin's. Look at it in the replay cam. Looks like Bathurst 12 hours or something. Crazy. So we control our speed into Griffin's, and Megane's sort of backed out of his attempted overtake. Now we're in the tow. Still in 8th place. Start of lap 2. He's a bit too tight in there. We take the wide line. Look how much extra speed we've got up the drive through here, but there's nowhere to use it. Sort of, I had to think about it, but it wasn't really a proper think about it. It was more just showing this guy, look, we're here. We want to overtake. It's just giving him a little bit of advance warning that there's a bit of pressure building from behind. And he seems to have got the message, look, he's pulling away, or we made a mistake, look, because we've got the Megane all over us again. He pulled his nose out just in time as I wanted to turn into that curb through the S's. Mistake there from the Vantage in front. A slight mistake. So we should just creep into the tow more than we would have done. The Vantage will max out at the end of Conrod if you're in the tow. So if you are driving it, do bear that in mind. Look, we're just about maxed out now, just below 170. So he had to we forced him defensive there, so he was tight on the way in, and that's cost him the position. He's ran wide mid corner, and on the exit he's just ran out of track, and we were able to just swoop past. So hopefully now this will give us some breathing space between that Megane that was pressuring us from behind. We can focus on trying to attack 6th place now. as we start lap 3. So again, good exit in Porsche there, in the tow of this other Vantage. I heard a lot of people saying that the M4 is the car of choice for this track. I think basically the trend at the moment, so penalties was like last week, everyone was talking about penalties. The new trend is to talk about how OP the M4 is at saving fuel. And yeah, it's got a pretty good engine, it's pretty good at saving fuel, but it's not I don't think it's a bug. It's just how that car's engine is. It's just good at saving fuel. I mean, I don't know, I could try and do a video where I match the settings for this race and I try and see if we can do 12 laps on the M4. Because you could do the race without pitting. Oh, look at this. So we catch another Megane over the top of the mountain. I didn't know it was there until this Vantage appeared a lot closer to my bumper than I was expecting it to be, and suddenly, yeah, I saw this Megane blocking the road. So he's going to have to get a move on now. And I was much quicker through into the dip of a missed Vantage throughout the whole race. You're going to see that cost me quite heavily. I think it's just at the end of his first stint. Yeah, I made a bit of a mistake. We'll leave it at that. I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, that was it. The M4 and fuel. So yeah, I mean, maybe you could do a full race and on one tank of fuel. But I mean, your tyres are going to be pretty warm by that point. I'm just wondering whether or not it is as OP as people say, and whether it's competitive to run your race that way, or whether it would be faster just to one-stop it and don't worry about saving fuel and just use your tyres, use your fuel, do the one-stop and do the race that way. I'm not sure. I think it remains to be seen. I don't think it's as OP as the internet thinks it is. It's just a car that's good on fuel, as it is in real life, turbo engine. That's the way things are going. As we have a look at the inside here, so signalled our intent very early, and in the end it's just a classic overtake on the inside, up the inside on the brakes, control the speed mid-corner so we can't get the cut back. So it's kind of a block, but it's not really what you'd call a block pass. It's just classic overtaking. So as long as you don't overcook it, you're always going to be on the middle of the corner where they want to be. So we defended a bit here, which I shouldn't really have done. Okay, so usually I'd be on the outside there, and I'd let them take the risk of going up the inside, and I'd usually do what he did to me and just go around the outside. But because of the penalties, I'm trying to allow people to or give them the opportunity to overtake me less, just because I don't want them messing it up and giving me a penalty, especially at Griffin's there. The slightest tap, if he messed it up, I'd be into the wall with a penalty to boot. So this one's up for debate. Obviously I lost the position because I defended too hard, but we'll never know if I hadn't defended whether or not he would have pulled out of the move, or whether his overtake would have been clean. Because if he hadn't pulled out and his overtake wasn't clean, we would have at least had a penalty, if not had a penalty and been put into the wall. So I don't know. I still don't know if I made the wrong decision there or not by defending too hard. I certainly braked too early, but because I was defending, I was on the inside line, so I didn't want to overshoot the corner. So that's a little bit of a talking point, how I've had to change, because I wouldn't normally want to defend that, certainly not mid-race, and hardly ever. I'd always want to be on the outside and let them take the risk of making the overtake. But as I say, the risk is more that I get given a penalty if they mess up the overtake. So I just didn't want to risk it at the moment, and this is post-update as well, so maybe I didn't need to be so cautious now. Maybe I'm still racing with the 1.13 mentality. I'm going to have to do a few more races and let you know, but or just readjust my driving once again. Because yeah, I think that overtake there that he got on me was a perfect example of how I've adjusted my driving because of 1.13, and maybe it needs another readjustment now that we're on 1.14. But I don't know. It was a good move by him anyway, wasn't it, to go around the outside at Griffin's, but I just kind of let him do it. As I say, I'd rather lose a position than have a penalty and get punted off into the wall. But we're faster than him, look. He pulled away a bit. I made a mistake there, a bit too early on the power through Griffins, but we seem to be reeling him in. So me and him have both stayed out longer than half distance. He's made a big mistake into the cutting, so we're going to be all over him over the mountain. But yeah, tyres weren't an issue, fuel wasn't really an issue for the Vantage, so as OP as the BMW is on fuel saving. I've not been fuel saving either really. I might have been a bit early on because I just sort of naturally do it. If I'm in behind the car, I'll just short shift and use the tow. So through the S's. Oh, that's horrible. So we let him. We don't take the overtake. I think it's obvious there that there's nothing malicious there. That's a genuine mistake. And because it was a genuine mistake, I slowed, I let him get back on the track, and I'm going to serve that penalty now as well. 10-second penalty, but I deserved it. We were just faster through that section of track than him the whole race. You'll see it in the second stint as well. He's just braking a little more than you need to, a little bit earlier on in that section. So it is a tough track. The way I do it, I'll show you next lap, or we've got the pit stop, but after the pit stop. So you brake in sort of phases. The first phase of braking is, I'll try and tell you exactly how I do it. So I'm on the left hand side. So we've gone through Skyline, the left hander. We've got the gravel on the right and the wall on our left. And we want to be towards that left wall. You throw the car towards the wall on the right. This is on the approach of the S's, and you sort of brake as you throw it to the right. So that's your first phase of braking, and there's a little bit of extra road on that wall on the right that you aim at. Get the car in there, that's your first phase of braking. Come off the brakes, let it roll onto that curb on the left, and there's your next phase of braking. Another little brake there, come off the brakes, and let it roll into that next bit of corner, and that's the bit where the contact was made. So as I was, it's a stage where I'd normally be off the brake, ready to brake again, he was hard on the brake. So yeah, just one of those. So we came out of the pits. So we pitted on the end of lap 5. So we came out of the pits at the start of lap 6. I've just cut to the end of lap 6 because not much happened at the start. Something's happened here. We've just missed some kind of incident. So we've got a car facing backwards, another car serving a penalty, I presume, and then another car up ahead that's a bit slow. So something's happened into the elbow there. I'm going to assume that the first car we passed got turned around by the second car we passed that looked to be serving a penalty. As we're in the toe of the McGann here. Late braking down the outside, he looks like he's gone a bit too deep, but he manages to pull it up, and he barely noticed it, but we got a penalty for that slight tap. What can you do? I'm not going to serve that one. I think it's only a second, isn't it? So, I'm not sure. That was a slight tap. Now, I've said before that I'm not keen on these penalties for the taps. And remember, this is 1.14 penalties now, so this is for he's serving a penalty in a horrible place. Just avoided rear-ending him. See, in S rank, you are clearly still getting penalties for taps, which is fair enough, but because the amount of times I've been tapped on the approach to a corner, and that's been enough for me to mess up my brakes and put me off the corner. But that tap on him there was on the exit of the corner, wasn't it? It was mid to exit of the corner. So on the exit of the corner, a very slight tap like what we just got penalised for. I'd say the effects are pretty marginal. If you know, if that tap was on the way into a corner, then fair. I think that's a fair penalty. But on the way out of a corner like that, where he's gone in hot trying to defend a position, and he's just sort of parked it on the, you know what I mean? He's gone in hot, parked it on the apex to block us. Then I don't think I need a penalty for that. It's just racing. You know, it's enough that we've already had to come out of the throttle to get blocked. We don't need the penalty for it as well. But I don't know. It's open for discussion, that one. But I'm not too bothered about it. And that big 10-second one I got for the end of stint 1 push through the dipper, I definitely deserved. Again, it was an accident, but it doesn't matter, accident or not. It was a deserving penalty. We get past him cleanly now, though. Look, so he's clearly struggling, or maybe he just saw my name behind and was like, "Oh God, no, it's that guy again." So maybe he just dived out of my way, I don't know. It looked like a mistake into the elbow, to be honest. He's not looked that comfortable through the latter half of the lap for the whole race. So end of lap 7, up into 7th. We started 8th, so it's not been a great race, but it's just been quite an interesting one. I have another of these races to upload. I think I'll save that one for tomorrow, because that one was just an absolute disaster. Shunted off left, right and centre, all sorts went on. I'm going to have to watch it again and see if I can edit it down, because I don't want to put the whole thing up, because it's quite a lot of just trying to recover from getting arseholed. So we'll see. This one was more interesting though. Quite a good race for the first half of the stint, and I messed it up myself as well this race, so I'm happy to put this one up. So that was my mistake that blew this race. Probably top 3 never really looked like it was on, but I think top 5 was definitely on the cards. But there we go, and we're going to take this penalty to the end as well. There's no use serving it. Like I said before, I don't want to serve. If I can take it to the end and avoid getting dropped back into the pack by serving it, I think that's the optimal way to serve your penalties. But yeah, P1 was pretty quick in this race. Maybe if I qualified a bit better we could have caught him, but it's never going to happen coming through the pack. But we had a good scrap, nice little race. And I love the track, so any opportunity to drive Bathurst, I'm going to take it. But we make a mistake here through Skyline on the last lap though. So you see what I mean about braking in phases? I'm on the brake, then I'm off the brake, then I'm on the brake, then I'm off the brake. And similar here, sort of a big brake on the approach and then try and come off the brake as the car rolls into the corner. And power out down Conrad to finish off the lap. I'm trying to see what that fastest lap time was. But it's quite heavily pixelated when I'm doing commentary, so I can't see if it's a 2:13 or a 2:12. I think it's a 2:13. Looks like fastest lap of the race is like a 2:13.1 or something like that, and we managed a 2:13.5 or a 2:13.3, so we're not too far off the pace in the race. It's just in the quali that we're quite far off the pace. But there you go, interesting race. Thank you for joining me, I hope you all enjoyed. And you'll see, actually I'm going to leave it because I think after the race I put a little apology to that guy, because I think it's important to show. I think it makes a big difference. So it's one thing getting punted off the track, it's another thing getting punted off the track and not having an apology but from the offending driver for it. So I think it's important, if you make a mistake, just let the other driver know, and hopefully there's no hard feelings. So there we go, I hope you all enjoyed. Please drop a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks, bye.